Hey, what's up everybody? Ady here from Hit the Road Music Studio. I'm a traveling music producer and mixing engineer, currently in Morocco, still in Morocco during the lockdown. I don't mind, we have beautiful weather here and a lot of things to do. Today, I got the mix breakdown for you with a very interesting track. The track is called We Are One. It's a song that I wrote, and then we travel through the whole country to record it with 3 and more artists to participate in this track. It's recorded in 3 different places. Once in the Sahara, once at the ocean, at the coast of Morocco, and the other one also in Izouran, in a very special creative city. The artists are Daraa Tribes, Zegro band, and Lala Tamar. And it was an incredible experience. Because we drove to the desert, I showed them the track and we worked together on it to make it as good as possible. And the idea behind it is to make a fusion between Western music and Moroccan music, but without the cliché. I wanted to make it as honest and original as possible. And I hope this worked here. So especially from a mixing perspective, this track is very interesting because it was recorded in different places. We transformed houses into studios just with my mobile rig. And I'm sure you can learn some really good tips and tricks how to glue stuff together, how to make sections more exciting, and other tricks. By the way, I released around 17 mixing tutorials on ProMix Academy about world music in different styles, different genres, and every tutorial have a different mixing style, a different mixing approach, another message, but the core idea on this tutorials is to guide you through the process, how we travel and record, how we meet the bands, what mics I'm using, why I'm using them in that way, and how to start the mix, how to bring it further, and how to finish it for release. You will find the link to the courses down in the description. Thank you so much, because with your purchase you help us also to move on with this journey. Make sure to hit the subscribe button on the Produce Like a Pro channel, and also head over to our channel, Hit the Road Music Studio, where you find a playlist with 60 plus music videos that we created during our recording and traveling journey. If you have any questions, any comments, any ideas, please share them with us down in the comment section. I'm scanning the section through. So let's move on. Let's jump into the project file. By the way, make sure to download the Multitracks. They are for free included, so you can follow along with this mixing breakdown and get the best out of it. I will show you today some mixing techniques that I'm using on a regular basis. They are universal, so you can use them in every style of genre. And we will talk a little bit about the syncing process, why I'm doing it like this. So let's jump into the project file. Let's see what's going on here. At first, let's have a listen. Let's have a listen to the track just at the beginning to get the idea on what we are dealing with. So you can hear here is some stuff going on. Absolutely love it what Belcher and the band Daraa Tribes made out of the track. I initially came just with the riff, da 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 da, and with the lyrics. Then we had to translate the lyrics, shorten them a bit so it fit. And yeah, this is what they came up with the vocal melody, adding the cajon, the djembe. It was a very, very, very interesting process. Especially because the band was going into the direction to keep it traditional. So the melody was completely different. More about the recording process will be in a 1-hour documentary that I prepared. And so we take you with us on our journey, and you can go with us and see more about the recording process and the producing process. So let's jump in here into this project. What I will do, I will disable the master bus. Usually when I'm mixing, I have the SSL compressor on. You see, I'm not doing much here. So You know what? We can keep it on. At first, because I'm on the journey, I'm mixing most of the time with headphones. This is the main thing. But to get some better perspective of whiteness and space, I'm using the Abbey Road Studio 3 plugin, and it works absolutely great. Just to compare, to see what's going on. So actually we will leave the master bus on, and let's check the first element. Let's go to my guitars here. I just recorded with a DI box because my Marshall don't fit into my camping car. Maybe the one thing I'm missing, but it's a great opportunity to learn about amp sims. So let's see what I'm doing here. Here I'm using the Brainworks bass dude, and I love it because it have this crunchy, easy to get tone, and it sounds pretty good, man. Let's turn off the bass effects. I love to structure my project, you know, and I'm always having some bass effects here. So let's listen without. Sounds good. And now to the rhythm guitar. Very low in volume, so let's see what I'm doing here. On the left side I have again the bass dude. I was trying the 14 Kali, but I didn't use it at the end. And some super basic EQ shaping, you know, cutting everything below 96 Hertz. Here I had some strange rumble. You know, I can shape the tone here, the bass is on the maximum, but sometimes it's easier for me just to put the REQ. I'm super used to it because it's so easy to use. And then I wanted some more presence. So I boosted 2.4K. And let's have a listen here to this rumble that I cut out. Yeah, so it really mudded it up. So I just cut it out here. No big magic. And in the second one, on the left guitar, I don't use the bass dude, but the 14 Kali. And I'm just using the clean channel. I love the clean channel on this. And of course, I love the chainsaw channel on the Neural DSP plugins. But here I just wanted the clean one. But did I crunch it a bit at least? Come on. Clean? Did I say clean? I'm crunching it here, and what I'm doing is the overdrive 2 setting, probably some pedals. Yeah, this one. I love this. That's why I'm happy that the Marshall is in Berlin, so I could dig into the amp simulator, and now I can get my sound super quick and easy, and it sounds just amazing. The Neural DSP stuff is tasty. And here, copy paste. Here I had some low-end issues by 310 Hertz, so I'm cutting it out, and some more presence back by 2.6. And then it goes into the bass. And in the bass, again, cutting the low end. I want the bass, that the bass will fill up this low end, especially with crunchy guitars. Then I had some frequency build up around 350, cutting around 1 dB here, and boosting some more presence. This is a very important frequency for guitars. In this range, you can search always if you need some more presence, but don't want to mess up the vocals, you know? You don't want to be in the way of the vocals. So yeah, here I'm boosting 1.7, 2.2 dB. And then to my favorite channel strip, this is the console SSL 4000 from Brainworks. Absolutely love it. And here I'm cutting all the low end, the high end. Here I'm cutting all the high end because I want to reserve the high end frequencies for something important like the vocals. You know, the high end frequency brings stuff present and to the front and make it more shiny. And here I want the dirty guitars. I want some you know, something crunchy. At the same time, I'm bringing a little bit of top end back. So this is some tip. You can cut some high end and bring a little bit back, so you're shaping the cue. You get some other cue settings and a softer curve. I wanted a little bit more of presence, just boosting 1.5 dB on 1.4 kilohertz, cutting a bit on 1 kilohertz, so it's not in the way of the vocals. And with the pre-dynamic section, the equalizer goes before the compressor, and then I'm smacking it. More in the intro. I see in the rhythm it's not really doing anything. So let's move on to the next one. That's the C4 multiband. And the C4 multiband is only for rhythm guitar chops. You know, to tame them a little bit more, like tick tick tick. It's just a little bit. It's something I'm used to. This is part of my guitar mixing chain. It's not doing much here, but in general, sometimes you have some really aggressive chops, and you can tame them down with a multiband compressor around, where I got it, 450 Hertz, something like this. The next one is the VLA3A from Black Rooster Audio. Let's see how much I'm compressing here. Just a little bit to tame the dynamics and bring it back in. And then I make it a little bit crunchier with the decapitator, just drive on number 2. I like the E setting. I cut the low end here because I don't want to distort the low end. Distorted low end can be a little bit too muddy. And yeah, that's why I don't want to do it. Let's listen without. Very bright and spiky guitar sound. I really like it. So let's check what Daraa Tribes is doing here. We have the percussion section, and then the percussion we had the cajon and the djembe. And what I'm doing here, it's making sub basses. I have the percussion bass. Under the percussion bass I have the cajon, and with the cajon we had 2 mics. Let's turn it off. Let's turn the bass off here. Let's have a listen to the cajon. Now without. So what I'm doing with the low end, at first flipping the phase. I had to flip the phase. It wasn't in phase here. It's the Brainworks console N. And with the console N, what I'm doing, just boost. Ah yeah, because it's the cajon bottom mic. It's the low end mic. And it was inside the cajon on a pillow, just to get some low end here. So I'm cutting all the top end. I will just use it as a low end mic in general. So I'm cutting all the top end, boosting a bit presence. So that's the mindset when I'm mixing world music or recording world music. My main genre where I come from, I grew up with rock music, and I try to find a substitute, for example, for the kick. And the cajon is for me like a typical kick. It's giving this oomph. So I treat it like a kick drum. So for some more presence, I'm boosting 5 kilohertz in a wide range to have more of this punch. And boosting 2.5 dB low end in a shelf on 122 hertz. And then I'm putting the R bass and just boosting 64 hertz here, just to give it some more oomph. The next one is the cajon top. On the cajon top I had the SM57, and I want some more definition here, some more smack. You know how he's hitting with the hand to get this tick, 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 tick. Like a moving rhythm. I want this movement here, and I want to emphasize the movement. I'm cutting the low end because I don't want that the low end mudds up with the bottom mic. Boosting a little bit on the top, 2.5 dB on 8K, 1 dB on 1.1K in a wide range to give a little bit more of the body. I'm cutting -2 dB with a wide Q on 350 Hertz because it was pretty ugly there. And then, after cutting the low end, I think this I made later. This was a move that I did later because I wanted a little bit more punch and definition from the cajon. So I boosted 3.8 dB on 200 Hertz, but in a shelf. So here I'm cutting again, and here I'm bringing the frequency back to play with the cue. So what we got here? So way more low on this, there is some more body. What I wanted to do now, in the bass, and this is something I do all the time with wooden instruments, I'm using isotope trash too, and make a parallel distortion on top of it. This brings the frequencies forward, brings some nice harmonic saturation, and make it sound fuller, punchier, and nicer. It really sits in the mix. I think I used the tape saturation. And here I got the mix button between dry and wet. So this is like my parallel distortion. And here I got the L2. Just to tame those peaks, you know, when he's hitting really, really hard. I don't want to kill the performance. I don't want to make it all even on one level, but I want to kill some spikes. Yeah, getting the spikes under control. Let's see what I'm doing here. 1 or 2 dB. And then I'm using this to boost a little bit more volume. Going again into the console E, SSL E, cleaning up the low end that is now building up between the two mics. Compressing a little bit more here. And then I make some last tone shaping, like more top end, 8 dB on 5 kilohertz for more punch in a wide range. So this was for me. I wanted more excitement. You can hear it. Yeah? It's like tack, 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 tack. And then I'm boosting almost 8 dB on 1.1 kilohertz. There is a little bit more punch from the hand. Tack, 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 tack. And then some low end, 3.7 dB on 200 Hertz again on a shelf. And at the end, compressing it again with the VLA 3A, just to tame those peaks. Let's move on, let's check. Yeah. And what I'm doing all the time now, and some people might not agree, but that's okay. We don't have to agree, but we still can be friends. I have room mics, always a stereo pair of room mics when I'm recording separately, to glue all of the elements in the track more together and get more depth. And here I'm cutting everything below 100 Hertz, a little bit on 430 and the top end, and then just compressing it a bit. Just to tame it. And then I bring it a little bit back, you know? So this is like a natural reverb that I love to use here. They are always hard panned left and right to make it more wider also. The next one is the Jembe, and Belcher is an incredible Jembe player. I love what he's doing. What I'm doing here is again boosting some top end, everything above 5.3 kilohertz. 2.3 dB, cutting some low end here, 75 Hertz on the Jembe top mic, cutting 2.5 dB on 800 Hertz, boosting some low end again, bringing it back. So here again, cutting, boosting. This is a pattern that you will see more and more often. And then the last tone shaping, this is what I do later when the percussion section is done. Searching for some small details that can make the sound a little bit clearer. So I'm cutting 1.9K minus 2 dB, and again some low end cut here, 36 Hertz. I don't just cut it that everything is gone. I just want that they glue together even in these lower frequencies. Yeah. So that's the top one. The bottom. For the bottom, I cut the top end again. Boosting some 3K, cutting some 3K, some 3 dB on 1K, in a wide range. Let's see what it's doing here. Before. A little bit more presence. It sounds very bassy. With the C4, I'm just controlling the low end. This is one of the tricks. I bypass all the other bands. I'm bypassing all the bands and just control the low end, everything up to 92 Hertz. Because it was a little bit too muddy, you know, it was like really boom, boom, boom. And if I need more low end, I can just push it up. So I have an individual low end control with this trick. It's very handy also on bass guitars and everywhere. And then the last shaping, there was still a little bit too much oomph. So like oomph, what I mean with this undefined low end, it was really undefined. So I'm just making again tone shaping with some easy to digest EQ. Because it don't take all the CPU. I love the REQ for it. So yeah, here was some mud by 380. Just cutting it out, no mercy. Oh, what we got here? Yeah, the Jembe room mics again. I position the room mics always a little bit different, but it brings some coherency. I don't know if this word exists in English, but it, you know, it glues the tracks together, and I really love this effect. As I said, some engineers might say these are way too many tracks, but for me it makes sense. And that's the most important. Everybody finds his own style. I'm cutting 125 Hertz here, cutting -2 dB on 377 and some top end because the top end is for something else. And let's see what I do on the Jembe bass. On the Jembe bass, I'm boosting everything up to 3K. 2.5 dB, cutting everything under 55 Hertz, boosting a bit of 3.8K, a little bit more for the presence. So you see, I'm boosting a different range than for the cajon, because I want that both have their own space, that they somehow glue together, you know? I'm boosting 8 dB on 1.1 Hertz. It's interesting because I did it for the cajon as well. But it fits. You can hear the hits gluing together and they're still separate. What's the next one here? VLA 3A, just to control the transients a little bit more. Then isotope trash again, tape saturation. Dry, wet, control, absolutely love it. Brings the track way further again, the Jembe mic. The Jembe track, way more present. And then a touch of decapitator. I love harmonic saturation on those elements. And there are different plugins. But sometimes when I'm in the mixing flow, I don't take care too much what I'm using. I just add something and check if it's working. So here we have the T option. These are different transformers. I think that's a API. That's something, that's a Neve, that's something else. I got to read the manual again. So just boosting some drive here, make it a little bit more crunchy and bringing it forward. Then I got the rear comp, and here what I can tell you, the Jembe is in the more or less same range, more or less the same range like in the vocals. So I don't want that the Jembe is in the way of the vocals. So what I'm doing is I'm sending the vocals from Belcher, and they are triggering this compressor just to duck it in the verse. So you have the full beauty and power in the intro, but later when he's singing, it ducks a little bit. Let's see how much. making space for his incredible voice. That's one of the lessons I learned. After I recorded the first time Daraa Tribes, I just put the condenser mic in front of Belcher, and we recorded everything live. And he's such a powerful player when he's playing his big djembe and then singing to it. It's just not working. It's fighting for space. It's fighting for energy. So I had to find a solution. I learned from this mistake, and I had to find a solution how we work in the future. And yeah, this is it. Just putting the compressor there, giving space for his voice, but still have the punchiness of the djembe. It's like a good compromise. Then another plugin that I used because I just bought it, so I wanted to use it. I'm more the guy learning by doing, and I had some. It was too harsh with the djembe. Check this out without. And this tames those transients again a little bit more. Probably I boosted too much on the 1K here. This now I see it. But when you're in the flow of mixing, sometimes you just don't notice it. You know, I was boosting the frequency here massively, 8 dB, and then I'm cutting it a little bit here. But there was more in this 2, 3, 4, 5K range that needed to be tamed. Super cool EQ. I'm using it now more in mastering. Very handy. Then we got the H delay, and this is for effect. I love to play with effects, and I love to build them in wherever I can. We can follow this line, this automation line. So it's all the time on bypass, except at the end. Check this out. Yeah, you're digging it. I love dub music as well. So inspired by this, I'm using the H delay. Dry wet is by 31%. Low pass cut, high pass. Feedback is by 60, and I use a 888 delay for this effect. Why I'm doing it? There comes another part, you know, they are stopping here and then comes the intro again. I wanted to glue it together. So this is one of the music production tips that I can share here with you. And for the final touches, I love on drums and percussion, I just love the Edelweiss 72 from Black Rooster Audio. These controls are so handy and powerful. I always just push a little bit of low end, and it just brings the djembe more forward. Check it out without. Now you can really hear the hits, hear the punch in the tracks, and get more definition of the elements. And I love it. These are steps that come step by step during the mixing process when I'm adding in new elements like, oh, this needs now more definition again. Oh, and now this one again. You know, it's like building up. So absolutely love it here. Then I got the L2 again for some more transient control and even volume control. And some last final touches, because everything what is percussion is going into this last bus, into the perc bus. We got winds here. And what I love on doing... Magnificent. Isn't this beautiful? Isn't this a beautiful sound of winds? One more time. So dreamy. Here comes the overkill again. Winds, room, left and right. 2 more tracks or 1 stereo track. And I just used the condenser mic in front of them. And what I love is automation here, going from the center, 100% left, and then up to the end, 100% right. So I got some movement at the beginning. It's super important for tracks to not be static, just to bring some movement here. The next step I did, S1 stereo imager. Watch out when you're using the stereo imager, you can have phase issues. So I always have a phase correlation meter and I'm listening what it's doing. Is it messing up the track or is it making it better? And I just imagined to make it wider and then moving while the other elements have their space in the middle already. So I just made it wider here. Yeah? Then some more tone shaping, boosting 5 dB on 6K, cutting all the low end 81 Hertz, boosting 4 dB on 3K. That's it. Sometimes the elements don't need much. And then to a special instrument from Morocco, it's called the Karkaba. It's like the loudest instrument that I know. These are like metal plates that make this gallop rhythm. Before I talk too much, have a listen here. I love this instrument so much. And what we got here, so how to record them? I just put the SM57 in front of them. That's all the magic. And 2 room mics again, stereo pair, small condenser. Let's have a listen without all the effects. I can't accept this sound, it's pretty boring, so I want to spice it up. When I record the sounds and mix them later, I have a image in my head, how I remember this instrument, and I know it's punchy, it's forward, it's moving. So let's see what I'm doing here to make it that way. We doubled it, Karkaba 1 and Karkaba 2, 2 ways, so we have them left and right. And again, SSL 4000, 2.5 dB, everything under 2.1 kilohertz, everything above I just wanted to boost. Pushing 3.2 dB on 1.3 kilohertz, pushing a little bit low end. There is some cool low end there. When you download the tracks, check it out. You will find some really cool low end that is important for the punch and the oomph. What I heard in Morocco is always there. Like I went to some mixing sessions and they just always push the high end and it's very bright, like I'm not the fan of the sound. Maybe people are not the fan of my sound, but I wanted more. I don't wanted them too present as well in the track. As I said, the top end is very important. I often leave it only for the vocals or for some guitar solos, for something that is super special. But if I push the top end here, it will take all the attention from the track. It will mess up the rhythm. I just wanted to integrate it more into the rhythm. So cutting 55 Hertz here and then compressing it. But compressing it just a little bit, like 1 dB. I think I'm sending it later to my parallel compression buses and there I'm really squashing it. Yeah, one of the things that I love with the Karkaba is to really squash it into the compressor, minus 10 dB, and it really comes up. But we are recording in improvised studios in houses that we make into studios, and you get a lot of noise. So when I'm compressing it like minus 10 dB, you will hear a lot of in the background as well. Here I'm doing a trick that I learned watching David. Oh my God, I don't want to say his name from Mixbus TV. I saw his tutorial and loved the way how he worked with hi-hats. He used the S1 imager. And because we have the Karkaba left and right, so now I put a little bit asymmetry and rotation to the right and a little bit the same move but the opposite direction on the left. And it gives some interesting stereo spacing here. I really love this effect. You hear how they are now more centered, and I wanted them really separate on the sides. like wrapping around the track. So that was a really, really helpful tip. Love his mixing style. Yeah, now we go to the meat here. Now I make the tone shaping. I bust them both together and cut some more low end. Boost 340. I really like the presence that it gives for this instrument. And cutting some top end. Then compressing on the API 2500. Fantastic compressor plugin. The threshold is hard, but the tone is normal. I love the old setting, but the attack is on 10. So I really want to attack the sharp transients and make it a little bit smoother here. But with a tiny ratio like 2:1 and the fast release time. A fast release time helps you, fast attack, fast release, to make it a little bit more pump. Tack, 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 tack. That's the aim here. We go to Kramer stereotape, just to, again, work a little bit more with harmonics, make more out of the sound that we already have. I love adding harmonic saturation with whatever plugins are available. And sometimes it's a decapitator when I need more aggressiveness. Sometimes it's just a Kramer tape. And on top of this, because I wanted more, I added the Kush Audio Omega 458 transformer. It's an incredible piece of software. It just brings all the elements you're putting it on like forward. And this is incredible for me. I really like it. I don't use it on every bass because it's, again, special for me what should be more forward. So if I need something to push something a little bit more to the front, I'm using this one. There was a little bit too much harshness on 3.5 kilohertz, just cutting it a bit. Then I'm putting the air reverb directly on it to give a little bit more space around it, to space them a little bit more. I love to glue tracks together and elements together in the mix. I don't like when you can hear that they are like very separate, recorded, like tack, 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 tack. So I'm just pushing a little bit more reverb here. Check it without. It's just giving something to the tail, and the tail ends exactly and glues together with the next hit. Chak, chaka, chak, chaka, chak. Instead of tak, taka, tak, taka, tak, taka, tak. Then I'm compressing the... Yes, I'm compressing it. Minus 10 dB. Yeah, here we go. More excitement, bring it more forward, and I'm loving it. Just more rhythm, So let's listen to all of them together now. And one thing, I'm doing it when I have two guitars or when I have different rhythm elements that fight for space. I don't pan them 100% in the middle. I'm just going here with the pan 4% to the left for the cajon and 8% to the right for the djembe. It still sounds like it's in the middle, but the vocals, the main element, is really in the middle, and the rest is a little bit aside. So you hear now that the Karkaba is exactly doing what it should do. It's just pushing the track forward, make it exciting, but it's not too much in the front, So I was thinking more about like a poppier mix for this track and make the vocals the most important part here. That was fun. I always love the percussion section, take always the most time. Let's talk about parallel compression. What I got here is a parallel compression folder, and here are all the other tracks. Why I'm doing this is I can quickly check how does it sound without the compressor, without parallel compression, and how it sounds with parallel compression. And I got separate buses here. One is for percussion parallel comp, percussion parallel squash, guitars, reverb parallel comp, vocal parallel comp, back vocal parallel comp, bass parallel comp, instrument parallel comp. So a lot of stuff going on here. Let's just check the percussion parallel compression. And this is my favorite one. The TG12345 from Waves. Let's have a listen here. It's not doing much, just compressing a little bit. Let's see what's going on. So these are the sends from my tracks. The cajon was okay, I liked it the way it is. So it's just minimum compression, but it brings more presence here. At first we go to the dynamic section, and then into the EQ section, and then to the dynamics. Just boosting some more top end, boosting a little bit more of mid-range presence, and boosting a lot of low end here. Making it a little bit wider with the spread function, and that's it. The second one is parallel squash, and I love the devil lock for it. Is it the deluxe one? Yeah. I was thinking about the red Cadillac when I got this. And I'm just using a little bit here. Check it out what it's doing. It's like the audio destroyer, and I love the name. Let's check it out. Almost inaudible, and here I'm not using it too brutally because it can really crush your audio. But just a second, it really brings your tracks forward. Check it out without compression, parallel compression. And now with. Amazing, I'm loving it. So let's check the bass. For the bass we had the amp and the DI out. I love the DI out. Let's have a listen here. For the Sahara sound, it's super important that you have really solid low end, but also presence to hear the hits and hear the melody. And this is always a tricky part. Let's see what I do on the bass DI. I'm using the MPEG SVT VR, just in standard settings. Then boosting some 3.1 and cutting everything below 70 Hz. And then using a limiter to just compress the peaks here. The second move, the bass amp, flipping the phase, because it's not in phase recorded. Using the REQ. And here I'm just using this one for the presence, for the hits. Really boosting 7 dB on 3K. Cutting some top end, cutting some mud here. It was mudding up the bass. And I'm using the lo-fi from Air, the lo-fi plugin. Absolutely love it to make it a little bit more crunchy. Just want to distort this top end a little bit more. Let's have a listen. And listen, on its own, it's not sounding good. But when you're mixing it together, I just love this oomphy bass, like dum 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 dum. Then I'm pushing more with Decapitator, really crunching it up. I could make a low cut here. But it gives some interesting oomph to the bass. And then I'm usually working just on the bass to make the general tone shaping So at first cutting some more low end here, some more mud, and giving more space for the rhythm section, for the cajon, for the djembe, and so on. So they are not interfering. Again, I'm not cutting steep. I want some of this low end, so it glues together with the other elements. We don't want them isolated or separate or like a puzzle in this kind of genre. I think in jazz, like I heard the Donald Fagen, More of the Cat, everything sounds so tasty, separated, punchy, but playing together, it's okay. It's just an incredible mix. So what I'm doing here is CLA 76. Just cutting the transients and shaping it a little bit more. You see -2, -3 dB max. Cutting all the top end and boosting it back here from 2K, boosting it 6.6 dB to bring a little bit more of the presence back. But I don't need the top end on the bass guitar. And here cutting around 60 Hertz and boosting 5 dB on 4.4 kilohertz for more presence. Love it. It's just rounding it, you know. Then we got the MV2. This sounds like a, you know, how can I say, like a very gentle bass. It's the gentleman of the basses, but I want the rowdy here, you know, so just a little bit more. And the MV2 is perfect to just bring the lower information up and the higher information down and to even it out. The dynamics are still there, and that's what I love in this process. You know, I still have this feeling, the vibe from Abdul, the bassist, but I have more control on the transients and the fuller, rounder sound here. Then again, the C4 trick, I love it on low-end instruments. So compressing the low end here, so I have individual low-end control. If I need more, I can just boost it up. Then the Kramer HLS, absolutely love it on the bass. But what I have here, I think I didn't use it in this instance. But alone the plugin have its own sound somehow. It's just more low end again, but controlled low end. This is what I love. It's very helpful in these tracks. And then with the vintage limiter, I'm just, let's see if it works. It gives a little bit more air on the bass. And when we're talking about air on the bass, here I got also the R bass to boost more of this 80 Hertz frequency. And here I hit the Ozone 8 equalizer, and I was just using it, it's not on here, because we had two bass players and they wanted the sound matched in the track. So this equalizer have a really cool matching function. Absolutely love it. I just played the bass from Abdul. It made this EQ curve here. And then I could copy paste the plugin and put it on Rashid's bass and had more or less the last final tonal shaping here. So yeah, that's why this one is here. Let's have a listen in the track. So how I'm mixing, I don't mix in solo too much. I use solo when I want to fix something, but usually I'm looking forward to have to glue the tracks together with the moves that I'm doing. I don't want the individual instruments to be super pretty and then try to glue them together in the mix. I'm just doing it while listening. So let's have a listen. Yeah, it sounds like a very solid bass. Keeping track of the djembe, holding the rhythm. I say always it's giving like a nice carpet where all the other instruments can dance on. So this is my intention when mixing bass. Additionally, I'm sending the bass to the bass parallel compression as well. That's something I discovered lately. I love the omnipressor. The omnipressor on the bass is just incredible from Eventide. Where are you? Here you are. Yep, here it is. The omnipressor. Let's have a listen without. It makes it fuller and brings it more forward. I really love this effect. And I'm cutting a little bit, just a little bit low end because it was a little bit too muddy. That's what I'm doing here. Now we go to the vocals with Belcher. Such a powerful voice. Such a positive, amazing character. Love this guy. Belcher is amazing. Let's have a listen here.
نتسالموا ايدينا في ايديكم لمحبة نطفو الغضب اللعبوا ونرقصوا رقصات.
Let's turn off the effects for a moment. What I'm doing on vocals, I make a general tone shaping here, pushing a little bit top end, a little bit more presence on 1.3K, cutting some low end there. Then I just listen what the vocals need. Do they need more top end? Boom, I push more top end. Sometimes it's like this, sometimes it's like this. If I need less top end, it can go like this. I'm really just listening what they need and then act without thinking too much. Like I'm using more my ears to make this decision. I'm boosting 4.2 dB on 3K, 4.2 dB on 1K, and I'm boosting even some low end again, like around 200, but I'm cutting 86 before. I would put it a little bit lower because you have a lot of presence in this low end here. Here in this track, especially when he's singing, you have this crunchiness in his voice. Then I'm just putting a de-esser. I love to put it in this stage. It would be cool also to put it before EQing, but after is good as well. Before EQing, it makes sure to keep the transients down before they get equalized again. But here I just use this way. Yeah, and I got the pre-dynamic section, so the EQ is pre-dynamic, and then just compressing it 3 to 4 dB. CLA 76 Bluey. This is something I learned in rock and punk mixes to just choke the vocal.
نتسالموا ايدينا في ايديكم لمحبة نطفو الغضب اللعبوا ونرقصوا رقصات جمعتنا صيف.
And there you can even hear the room. This is how heavy it's compressed and smacked. You can hear the natural room where we recorded. So just smacking it, attack in the middle, release to the end, and it brings the vocal really forward. The shadow hits, it's more a tonal thing, just compressing a little bit, a half dB or something. But in general, I love the sound of this plugin, and yeah, that's why I'm using it here. With the limiter, I'm just cutting a little bit more peaks that I don't want. And then more tone shaping with the J37.
نتسالموا ايدينا في ايديكم لمحبة نطفو الغضب اللعبوا ونرقصوا رقصات جمعتنا الصينية والبراد وحدتنا محبة وسعادة.
It feels, without this plugin, there is like a half dB of vocals missing. So with this plugin, it really brings the voice forward. And I love the tonal shaping here. You can check the different formulas. They're doing something else. I'm always checking which one can be the best. And also it's an incredible slapback delay. My favorite one. Then I do the final shaping. I'm listening again, I'm listening in the mix. Hey, what can I do with the vocals here? And there was a little bit too much 350, so I just cut it out. And with the VEQ, I'm boosting a little bit more of 16K, just to give a little bit more on the top end for him. What's cool, I would love to test it, to boost like 100 Hz as well.
تسالموا ايدينا في ايديكم المحبة نطفو الغضب اللعبوا ورقصوا رقصات جمعتنا الصينية والبر.
Love it. I think now I would keep the small boost here. It does something very special with the vocal and brings some very smooth low and back here. So yeah, loving it. Now to the effects. I will turn it off. Sometimes I'm super minimalistic with effects, sometimes I just go crazy. It depends on the vibe, on the mood, how I feel, how the track feels. And so we get the send to the Jembe folder to duck the compressor. Then bell hair distortion. I got the distortion track here. It wasn't enough presence of bell hair. And just with no mercy, crashing the voice, distorting it and bringing it back with minus 19 dB. Makes the voice a little bit more exciting in the mix. Yeah, I love it. So the next one here, Vox parallel compression. So we got this one here. Vox parallel compression. Just a VLA 3.8, choking it, minus 10 and bringing it back. I love this plugin. 2 knobs, works perfectly. We got the Vox slapback. We got a little bit slapback delay. The slapback is from Sound Toys, the Echo Boy. Making the voice a little bit wider. The next one, Vox delay.
جمعتنا الصينية والبراد وحدتنا محبة سلام يا أرضي يا أرض الكرام.
Here I found a mistake because I'm sending backing vocals as well as the main vocals into this folder to trigger the compressor, but I forgot to put it on auxiliary input. Actually, I like it. Let's have a listen and see what the difference is doing.
تتسالموا ايدينا في ايديكم المحبة نطفو الغضب اللعبوا ورقصوا رقصات جمعتنا الصينية والبراد وحدتنا.
I love the delay tail that comes at the end. Let's listen as it was before.
تتسالموا ايدينا في ايديكم المحبة نطفو الغضب اللعبوا ورقصوا رقصات جمعتنا الصينية والبراد.
Makes it a little bit more dreamy. So these are 2 different options that I could use, but let's move on with the auxiliary. It's always good. I love these mixing breakdowns because I'm learning also from my mistakes and where to put more attention for the next time. Learning by doing. We got the Vox delay channel 4, reverb long. Yeah, we got the long reverb here. And I love to share specific reverbs with the same elements to glue them more in the track together. I have to turn on the light, it's getting dark. It's not changing much, eh? Check for the next element. Vox slapback, vocal real ADT. So this is something I love to do all the time, to fatten up the vocals a little bit. If you listen without.
تتسالموا ايدينا في ايديكم المحبة نطفو الغضب اللعبوا ورقصوا رقصات جمعتنا الصينية والبراد.
I love it. You can't put too much of it because it gets too phasey. So what I'm doing here is, this is a vocal doubler from mono to stereo, and then I'm cutting some low end here. Amazing. And then with the harmonizer left and right. So what I'm doing here in the next is the harmonizer. This is the micro shift from Sound Toys, and I'm always using different settings. Here we got 3 different styles. I have style 1 here, style 2 here, detune, more or less different settings. A little bit looser delay, just that there is some difference, you know, left and right. Hard panning them left and right. Let's have a listen. And the guitars are there as well, because I love the effect. So yesterday we were checking the vocals. It got a little bit dark, so we just continue today. And let's move on to the backing vocals. I love backing vocals, especially in these countries. It's something very special because, you know, when you ever went to the Sahara, to the desert, light a fire and play the music with the guys, you know, this is very special. The backing vocals, music is part of their life, and it's always the call and response music. So I don't know, maybe I'm also too sentimental with this, but yeah, I love the backing vocals. Let's check them out on their own. And now listen without the backing vocals. What I see now is the guitars are also on the back vocal bass. This was not intended at all, but it works fine. So let's check it out. I love it. You can hear a lot of reverb and something to fatten it up. We have, for backing vocals, what I do with the guys is usually only 2 mics and putting them aside. I think there were only 3 guys for the backing vocals. So I put 2 mics in the first round. They are standing in this position, you know, like at first Hafid, the cajon player, then Rashid, and Belkher probably was there also, I don't remember now, Abdul. And then I record again with the same setup, but I change the guys. So there is some variety in the vocals. So they take a step away from the mic, just to have different spacing, different sounds, and different varieties to make it fatter. The idea behind it is, if they would stand all the time the same frequencies would build up, and you would have to fix it here. And like this, it's even spread and it sounds wider and fuller. So one tip here for you when recording backing vocals. And I got the stereo pair like 1 meter away from the 2 condenser mics to bring a little bit more depth there. They're just mixed in a little bit, but it does the job. So the aim here is, from a production side, to really lift up and give more energy to the chorus. And I love the reverb tail at the end. It's amazing. So what I'm doing here is, at first I flip the phase, because I don't have enough headphones for everybody. So we're improvising. I take a small guitar amplifier, take the output from my audio interface, route it to the small amplifier, and the guys are hearing it. I put it behind the mics. So like here, I got my Lewitt Flex 441, absolutely love it. And this have different polar patterns, but I have the cardioid, so from the back, it's not taking the sound so heavily. So I'm putting the guitar amplifier from the back. Of course, you got some bleed there. And because of the bleed, I'm flipping the phase. I got the same EQ here. I'm just cutting the lows because I want the lows for the bass. Just copy pasted it here. A quick move, simple move. And then I'm just shaping it. I give a little bit more top end from 5K, boosting 1.7 dB. Cutting some 360 here, as well as 100. It's like the first shaping. This one is doing nothing at the moment. 0 3 dB on 348. Maybe cleaning it up a little bit, you know, because all of the different mics, they are just building up. Then I'm compressing it again with the VLA3A. Let's see how much. When it gets super loud, up to -3 dB, just to tame it a little bit and bring it into the mix. One of the tricks I learned from my friend Andre Martinez Agras was to use the Shep 73 on backing vocals, go in MS mode, and here I wanted to cut a little bit. There was too much top end, so I cut the top end on the sides, boost a little bit of 1.6 of the presence, but only on the sides, so it's still good with Belcher's main vocals. It's not clashing, also not clashing with the guitars. And usually I take out a little bit of the mids, but I didn't do it here. I just wanted to boost, to clean up the side frequencies a little bit more. What I do sometimes is just getting the mid out, but it can sound too quick, too artificial. So let's put it back where it was and just boosted everything in general. And then the limiter, just for some peaks and additional volume control. With the out ceiling, I can adjust the volume. And as you saw before, it's routed to the back vocal parallel compression. And here I got the VLA2A. I like the characteristic because it's adding some more low end to the voice. Some very harmonic low end for the vocals. I love this one on the vocals. It's incredible. There is another one from Waves, and the one from Waves give more presence, like in the mid range. So if presence is missing, I'm using the CLA2A from Waves. And if I want some more consistency, some more low end, and just some additional compression, I'm using the one from Black Rooster Audio. And then I'm routing them so they share the same space. I think I route them to the same delay. Let's have a look here. Yeah. So they are sharing the same delay. And to fatten them up, I also put them into the real ADT, because we just had 3 takes and sometimes I want a little bit more. So I'm sending it to the real ADT and also to the harmonizer, the same trick. Additionally, they are also in the long reverb. That's the one that you can hear. And that's it with the backing vocals. Do I have some automation here? Yeah, a little bit volume up. And now, one production tip. Because there is a lot of energy in the track, and what is tricky sometimes is to make it not monotone. You want some build up in the energy. So to make the chorus a little bit bigger, I added the effect on Belcher's voice. So what I'm using here for effect, let's have a listen. So this is a very handy function that I can put effects directly on the track. Like this, I can make a fade between the process signal and then it fades into the clean signal again. So it will give the illusion that he disappears for a while and then punch in back when the chorus comes. And I just love the Isotope vinyl plugin, it's for free. I go into the 30s mode and this gives this telephone effect. Then I wanted to double the voice, so I go from mono to stereo to make him wider. I want Belcher to be on all the sides. Cutting a bit more of low end. I don't know if it was necessary. Let's have a listen. It's cutting the mud, making it a little bit clearer and more drastic effect. Then I'm using the one knob. I'm seeing now, I'm not using it at all actually, because it was too much. Let's see, let's have a listen. As more you push the distortion, the more you push the volume as well. And here's no volume knob to adjust it. I could do something else, but I don't wanted to play around too much with it. So let's delete this one, because it's not used. And then I'm just putting some more air reverb to make it, you know, make like a space effect. I wanted the vocalist to be a little bit more in space and a little bit more away. And then the chorus will be super clear again and punchy. So the reverb tail is cutting exactly when the backing vocals jump in. As well, I'm going lower with the bass here. And to make transitions effective, you can cut elements. So here I'm cutting the Karkaba. I don't wanted this hectical stuff anymore. I muted the Jembe. There is no more Jembe. But only the cajon is still there to keep the rhythmic feel, you know, like, hey, something is coming. And then the djembe punches in as well with their boom boom tak 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 doom. Fantastic rhythm. So that's production wise. Now we go to the last element, and that's the guitar from Rashid. Yeah, it's also under the backing vocals folder. A lucky mistake, actually, because now I'm sending it to several outputs here, like the vocal parallel compression, vocal delay, reverb long ADT, and so on. But I love somehow it's gluing this guitar more into the track. So it was a lucky incident. It's not a mixing technique. Let's see on the guitar. I didn't do anything directly on the guitars. I got the... I asked Rashid to play it twice. Let's see what I have for input effects. So I asked Rashid to play the guitar twice here. And then I put it left and right. He had the effects directly on his amplifier. This is how he's used to work. He have a flanger. He's playing a Fender Telecaster over a small Fender Mustang amp with effects built in. It's perfect. It's this Sahara sound, you know, with the flanger. Do 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 do. Let's have a listen here without effects. And now with. One thing that is tricky when the flanger effect is there at the beginning is the low end, because it's flanging, the sound feels like it's coming and going, so sometimes the low end is too much, sometimes not. So what I'm doing here is the Brainworks console 4000 again, our good friend, and I'm cutting the top end again and a little bit of the low end in the shelf. So 91 hertz cut here, everything above 8 kilohertz is cut. Because it's pretty bright, and minus 1.6 dB on 200 hertz on the shelf, so the low end isn't such a big problem anymore. I go pre-dynamic again with the EQ, then into the dynamic section. But the input signal is too low, there is almost no compression going on. Then again the C4 for the rhythm chops. Decapitator, you can see a pattern. I love to spice it up a little bit more, like harmonic saturation on the guitars is always a great thing. And then cutting a little bit more 340, minus 1.7 dB, as it's building up there. And then we have another EQ, and this one have some automation on it. Let's see where it is. I think at the end. Yeah, when it goes into the chorus section, this is the next thing I'm doing here. Just to give it a little bit more vibe to support the effect on Belcher's drum. So every element is going down, even the bass is going down minus 17. I don't want it to delete it completely because you can feel it heavily, but to have it a little bit there. Here we got the guitar solo. If you have really good ears, you can hear there is some noise. One of the biggest lessons during our recording journey, because we don't have the perfect environment, we don't have the perfect studio, and even things like this happen in the biggest studios. I attended to some sessions in Studio Hiba as well, in Morocco, and issues will always occur. It just matters how you handle them. And here, let's listen without any plugins. And we always try to make the best with what we have. Yeah, so you can hear this noise very heavily. One thing, I wanted more consistency in the solo, so I used the DI box as well. I'm always recording DI and the amplifier. For the amplifier, I got the Sennheiser 609 at the moment. What I'm doing here is compressing the solo a little bit. I wanted a little bit more consistency in this flanger effect. And then cutting the top end. Everything above 4.3K is cut because there is this signal, this noise. And now you can't hear it so heavily in the mix. And this was very important for me. Then on the Rashid solo bass, we got the VLA3A again, more consistency. APA 560, absolutely love it on guitars. Pushing back a little bit of top end, just a little bit. 5 dB, 2.7 dB on 8K, minus 0.2 dB on 4K. And I love this one because it goes in octaves, so it's very harmonic sounding, very, very pleasant for these instruments. Cool EQ. Then the last cleanup. After I hear it in the mix, I decided to cut a little bit more low end here. And then we got the MV2, because it was still too flangy, you couldn't hear it in your face. I wanted it more direct in your face, so the MV2 is helping it to bring it again to the same level. I guess it disappears. And then we got some automation going on here for the small reverb. Because this is the end of the section where it goes to the next part, at first to the hook. And I wanted to glue it a little bit more together. So what I did is automation on the Jembe to have this hit. this dub hits, I would say. And additionally, way more reverb on this guitar. And it's going drastically up here from minus 25 dB. This is the send to the small reverb, up to 5 dB. So you still hear the nice reverb tail. And the small reverb is just the IR convolution reverb. I think that's the standard settings, always working perfectly fine. Cutting some top end here. And that's it. Where I'm sending it to the guitar doubler, it goes to the guitar doubler. Same here. So let's see where we are sending all of these tracks. Guitars, reverb, parallel compression. Reverb is the Moroccan violin that Zegro band is playing. So I got the parallel compression bass here again with the VL838. I love it on the guitars. It's making them fatter, fuller. It sounds really good on guitars. It's working very well. And again, there is no big science behind the compressor. So I love it. Then I have a guitar doubler here, just to spice up things a little bit. Standard settings for the doubler 2 from Waves. Just putting it there makes it a little bit wider, gives a little bit flangy effect, and yeah, I like it. So the rhythm guitars and this guitar is going there. And the last one, I got the separate instrument delay. So all the instruments are going into the instrument delay. Cajon, Jembe, the winds, Karkaba, guitar Rashid, guitar solo, percussion Ahmed, all of them. Just all of them. And here we chose the Echo Boy and have a stereo delay. I'm just doing it to glue those tracks again more together, to give more consistency for all of them. Oh, this one I didn't use even. And that's it with Daraa Tribes. Let's jump into the next section. It's like you're having 2 tracks in one tutorial here, you know? Let's jump to the next section with Zegro Band, where we recorded completely different instruments in a completely different environment. Check, 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 check. Check, and we are back. Now we are in the next project file here. This is cool on Reaper. I just close it, make it smaller. And now we are in the Zegro Band part. This is very tricky because they have a complete different dynamic in the track. Less instruments, they are not playing that heavy djembe like Belcher did. So let's see how we, what we did here. So again, we have the same structure, percussion folder, the same colors, the same everything. But a different working style. Let's have a listen here. So here, Ahmed Kachina was playing the percussion. Ahmed is the current champion of Africa for percussion. Every country sent a representative there, and they have a 3-day tournament on playing the percussion, and he won in 2019. And yeah, since then there was no festival, so he's the current title holder, most important, wonderful person, and we call him the Octopus because when we recorded with Zegro Band, he was playing the percussion and had always something new in his hands. Like he's playing 4 congas or bongos, then he have the bandir, it's like a traditional hand drum. He's having a shaker, he's having a drum machine, he's having sticks to play the drum machine, tambourine, everything. You know, all the time he has something else and he's playing like this. So my girlfriend called him Octopus. And here he was playing one bongo, one djembe, but very light. You know, you can hear it here. It's very soft and very bright. So what I'm doing here without effects, let's have a listen. Very boomy, bass rangey. It was a little bit problematic here. This is the other side. With the mobile recording studio, I don't have this clean sound all the time, so I have to really dig into the tracks or take care how I mic it. And here I had the SM57 on top of the Jembe, one on top of the percussion, and one in between the Jembe and the percussion, like a low-end mic. Usually it worked, but here I feel I could make it better. But it is what it is. No regrets. So let's see what I'm doing here. On the Jembe top, I had the console, but it was a little bit too much. So I didn't use it. I just do a little bit of tone shaping, cutting 74 Hertz. It's the Jembe top, so I don't really need the low end or too much of this low end. There was a strange build up on 257, so I cut it out. Minus 1.4 dB. A little bit too much of the top end also, so I cut it out a little bit, minus 3K. And the really high top end, cut it as well. And then what I love with these instruments, they are pretty dynamic, so I tame the transients a little bit with a limiter. It's on the Jembe top. On the percussion low, I'm cutting everything below 67 Hertz. Big dip on 450. And really cutting the top end here, everything above 11K. And then I get the R bass, boosting some 65 Hertz, and then the R comp. So it's again in the kick range. It's more in the kick range here. With the R comp, I'm just taming this low end a little bit more, so it's not like everywhere, like too wide. What we got here next? Percussion top. Percussion top 609. I'm just muting the Lala vocals. Make sure that the Daraa Tribes is muted as well. You know, it's like mixing two tracks, so I have a lot of plugins and it takes a lot of DSP. When muting in Reaper, it makes a true bypass, so it works pretty well. On the percussion top, I wanted the low end here, but made the dip minus 1.4 dB on 200 Hertz, a big dip like minus 9 dB on 780. To clear it up a little bit, to clean it, and then slight top boost. Then we go to the SSLE again. And on the SSLE, I'm making drastic changes. I wanted more from the hit, more from the ladder on top of this percussion. So I boosted everything above 4.5K, cut it more low end, 60 Hertz, boosted 6 dB on 1.3 kilohertz in a wide range, and cut it some low end here. And at the end, the MV2 to bring more consistency in the hits, because it sounded very like in the background, you know, and I wanted them more forward. On the percussion aim at bass, we are making some more tone shaping. At first, more limiting for more consistency. Then some tone shaping with the tape emulation. I like this setting because it emphasizes, like it have a nice emphasis on the low end and brings it more forward. It's pretty good for voice, for vocals. So on the vocals I like also the 811 is my go-to because it have a very smooth mid-range and brings the vocal further. Then some parallel distortion again with the isotope trash. Again, dry wet knob. It's a standard move. I'm doing it. I love to do it on the percussion elements. Then I had the filter, but it's on bypass at the end. I didn't use it. And then a little bit more tone shaping. I love the API for it, the 550B, because you can just make slightly touches and emphasize what you like to, what is already there, you know? 2.5K plus 2 dB, plus 75 Hertz, a little bit more low end here. And I'm drastically cutting 30 Hertz here because it was pretty muddy. Some more low end control, especially in the range of 93 Hertz. Just to control the low end again, have an individual control if I need more or less. Then again, the Brainworks console. I really tried to get control of this low end because it was really, really wide. Like it was everywhere. It was not like really mono, but everywhere. And so what I do here, I'm again cutting everything below 43 Hertz, cutting everything in a shelf above 200, under 200, and boosting a bit more of the presence. So I did it in the mix while listening to the track. Then I wanted a little bit more of the elements, so I just added this plugin and tried to bring the percussion more forward. Then in general on the percussion bass, again limiting and then boosting the level a little bit more, bring it forward. Again the Edelweiss, a little bit more top end, a little bit more low end. The super lows a little bit out because of the muddiness. Then the vintage limiter, it has its own characteristic there. It was still lacking punch, you know, the same punch like Belcher have. So the Ozone vintage limiter is one of my favorites. I love it in mastering because it really brings the punch out of the tracks. I love it. Then the Brainworks hybrid just wanted, you know, teeny tiny cuts. I'm not even sure if you can hear them. I think it's more when you hear it with the vocals. We will turn on the vocals very soon. And then I have the Ria comp. And it's again Tamar's vocals. We go later to Lala Tamar and to her vocals in the drop. And I wanted a lot of space for her beautiful voice, but the drop is pretty heavy. If you hear the track, let's check it out here. To make space for her voice, she's ducking the compressor and have her own space in this drop. Here we have the percussion drop. Let's see if we can have a listen here. And we recorded it in a very reverberant room. This is why you don't have this full body Jembe sound, because the room was with tiles. I put here a short video so you can see how we recorded it. One of the reasons we had to leave was on the next day we had another record session with the Gnauer band, and they needed the space for rehearsal. So they said, hey, please leave. You're already recording the whole day. And that's okay. That's cool. It turned out to be even better. We went to Batal's house. Batal is the guitar player, the coolest guy on earth. And we were recording the djembe there. And it turned the djembe into reverb. So we had more natural reverb that really fit with the vision of the track. What I'm doing here to spice it up is some panning on the first hits, going left, right, and so on. Let's have a listen. I wanted to make it psychedelic, yeah. I hope it worked. And here you can hear it's pretty effects heavy. At first I put the Kramer Pi The Kramer Pi is great for pressing out more of the room sound. So I wanted to emphasize this reverb on the room, to use less reverb in the mix. Then the magnetite, I love it's a tape emulation. Where can I make it bigger? What it's doing with the red formula is to emphasize the low end and emphasize more top end, make it a little bit warmer sounding. I love this effect. And at the end, there was too much top end that took the attention from Lala's voice. So I cutted it. And then the H delay is coming in. Where's the H delay? At the end, maybe? Between the transitions. So when there is a hit and Tamar is singing, automation here. On the djembe, just shaping the tone, cutting a little bit more low end here on the djembe top. A little bit of 620 was pretty annoying here, pretty nasty. And cutting everything above 11K. And then on the djembe bottom, again a cut on 50 kilohertz, same cuts, just a little bit more cut on the top end, and then adding the R bass. What I did additionally here is I just looped the section from Ahmed's percussion and added it on top of this fantastic percussion solo. Next one is the Ascender. Ascender is a pretty heavy percussion instrument. It reminds me a little bit of samba to drive the energy. So we didn't put it everywhere. I just put it in the chorus and in the solo and at the beginning of the drop. And then Ahmed's percussion takes over here. Take two, Hassan. Because Hassan came there. Hassan is an incredible percussionist from Morocco, and he contributed to this track. How I recorded it, it was S609 in front of it and two room mics again to space it, and minimum processing. Just cutting some low end, 32 hertz, some top end, because the top end was very, very spiky. Dang, dang, dang. Compressing it hard. Up to 8 dB on the highest peaks. Really taming those transients. Like this, it can support the track more instead of disturbing it. And I'm boosting 5 dB on 3K. I wanted more presence of it. Cutting some more top end and boosting 2 dB on 450 for a little bit more presence. And then with the VLA FET from Black Rooster Audio, compressing the heck out of it. -3, -5 dB to push it further and to pump it and to make it more rhythmically and to push it for the track, you know? And here also again the H delay trick, probably coming at the end. So I'm using this H delay always to make a transition to the next part, and mostly when the next part was also recorded in a separate space. This is my trick here that saved my butt. So like this, the track is gluing together. It don't sound like one part of the song, another part of the song, another part of the song. It's like very flowing. This is what I love in mixing. Then we got the drum machine here from Ahmed. And with the drum machine I used, did I use it? I had the Mondo mod, but it was a little bit too much. What the Mondo mod is doing, it moves your track like 360 degrees. There was a little bit too much movement, so I didn't use it at the end. I used the SSIG channel, cut 50 hertz, cut a little bit top end, compress it heavily, boost some more top end back here after 8K to narrow the Q. boost some more 6.3K, just for more presence for the instrument. And then I made it again wider. And again, if you're using widening tools, always check for phase. Always check for phase, because you can have pretty quick some phase issues. And what I love on these drum machines, to emphasize them a little bit, this is a free plugin called Camel Crusher. It's a super simple distortion. Here it's annihilating, so let's see what it's doing. Just bringing a little bit more excitement there. Absolutely love it. The mix is almost 10% of between the original and the mix signal, process signal. So yeah, this is what I do to spice up samples. Bring a little bit more life into the samples. We got Rashid here. Rashid is an incredible bass player. I love this guy. He really knows what he wants also in mixing, and this is very important. Let's have a listen to the bass. And some people might get frustrated with me, but we had also noise from the bass guitar in this track. I show you the workaround. So we had the bass DI and bass amp signal. I think exactly, I just copy pasted the processing and then adjusted. So I have a good place to start. You know, I'm just copy pasting it as I had it on Abdul's bass, because I wanted also more or less the same sound. Of course, it's a completely different sound at the source already. Abdul have a Yamaha bass, Rashid have a Fender Jazz, I think. So there's already the difference. But, you know, with more or less EQ, you can get the more or less same result. Here I boosted a little bit more mid-range and cut a little bit more of bass. So the jazz bass, initially from the DI, had more low-end information already. But it was a little bit too muddy, so I cut the bass here on the amp pack, boost some mid-range, cut a little bit more low-end here by 74 Hertz. Why I'm doing it is, when I'm cutting here by 74 Hertz, on the cut, the signal gets emphasized a bit. So I get a little boost of this frequency, a little bit more presence. And then compressing it, just starting to even it out. And in the bass amp, we have the exactly same processing. I wanted the bass amp again for more punch and presence. So I'm boosting 3K, cutting 80, cutting almost everything by 215, like minus 4 dB. I put the lo-fi plugin here to clip it, to distort it, and then crunch it with the decapitator. It's sounding like this. Oh, and here you can hear the noise already. So with all the compression and so on, the noise is just pushed up. And this is a problem of the club. We used the same source. They don't have separate cables there. And we used the same source for the lights, for the audio interface, for the bass, for the guitar amplifier, for the keyboard, or whatever there was, you know. And like this, you have a very ugly hum. But it's okay. I just cut it more low end. I will show you what I did here. Now going to the next processing. The bass was super boomy, so what I did is cutting 80 Hertz, is cutting everything below 80 Hertz to give also more space again for the percussion. And here I created an interesting shape, an interesting curve, because I want again to glue them together and not just cut them. So I'm playing around with different frequency curves. A little bit more presence, so I boosted 750. And I had to cut everything above 2.9K to get rid of the hum. Up to 5 dB compression on the heavy hits with the CLA 76. And then Bringing some top end back for the presence. Boosting 6 dB, everything above 1.8K. Cutting everything by 7.7K. And cutting everything below 70 Hertz. Cutting a little bit of low end and go into the pre-dynamic section, but not using the compressor here. So now it's again tone shaping. You know, tone shaping, compression, tone shaping, compression, making it even again with the MV2. Low end control now by 117 Hertz, everything below that. The Kramer for the sound, and I love the Kramer when I need more presence for the bass, that you can hear the hits way better. So I'm boosting 4.5K, 5.2 dB. Does this move out? So you hear, before it was very boomy, very bassy. Maybe I put even a little bit too much here, but the cool thing is now the bass pops out on laptop speakers as well. Yeah, maybe I could push a little bit more of the low end when I hear it now. Anyway, now I'm moving on again to the vintage limiter of Ozone, just cutting the peaks here, just small correction. If even. It's not even touching here, but I love the sound quality of the plugin. And now I feel that we have some controlled low end, and now I like to add something like the R bass. If you put the R bass before controlling the low end, you get the really muddy outcome. So let's see what happens if I push it even a little bit more. Wouldn't hurt the track. Let's keep it like this now. And then the Ozone EQ. This is what we talked before about. The yellow one is the frequency curve from up to its base. No, the blue one. Yeah, that's how it works. The blue one is the target curve. This is from up to its base. And the source curve is the one from Rashid. And now I could see that some low end was missing here. So I just boosted it automatically. This equalizer is just incredible. You can check the amount, how much you want to boost. Just put 11%. You can smooth out this curve or make it more precise. It's a very, very handy tool, especially for these situations. This is the low end here. Let's check what we did with Abdelali's voice. Abdelali is a wonderful person. Wonderful person. He don't speak so much English, but we have so much fun during the sessions. It's incredible. I mean, you can see it in the video. It's a good energy there with the band, and there is a strong connection between us. We worked a lot together, and I'm currently producing their debut album. We're almost done, and it's pretty tasty. It's pretty tasty, so stay tuned for more. Check them out on Instagram and follow them. They are incredible musicians and songwriters. What we got here with Abdelali. And this was the first time that I could use this Lewitt mic. We got the package from Lewitt with incredible microphones. Thank you so much. Big shout out to Lewitt here. And the vocal sound is just tasty. It's amazing. So let's go through it. نشرك يا وكال نشرك ولاي دم نشرك زرفان عفوس غفوس هاي سما عفوس غفوس هاي للهنا أو سي أو سخاك. I love it. So what we are doing, again, this is something that I do all the time. At first a little bit of tone shaping, then a little bit more of tone shaping, seeing what I really need. Like here I'm checking for stuff that I could cut out that are maybe a little bit too much. And then really see like, oh, I need top end, I need this, I need that. So let's see if I do some compression here. Up to 10 dB even. And then I use the de-esser, having it in standard settings, 5.5. This de-esser is just incredible. And in the Arabic language, and he's singing in the Tamazight language, this is the original language of the North African people. The de-esser is working wonders because it's not only the S noises that it's taking care of, but also the harsh r. For example, in the letter r. Yeah, I'm learning Arabic now. So I know the alphabet finally and know where it can help. So this de-esser is perfect for it. And then now we are using the CLA2A to bring more mid-range presence for Abdelali's voice. And then I wanted, there was a little bit too much low end. I don't know what. Because now when I hear it, it's a bit harsh with the voice. So now I would actually boost some 100 here. And I'm boosting some 4K, just a little bit, with a little bit tighter bandwidth. And here this plugin always boosts the volume, minus 1.3 dB. So I'm putting the volume a little bit lower and then go into a compressor again. So you see problem shaping, tone shaping, de-essing, compressing again. Here is also compression, EQing again, compressing again, EQing again, and the final touch. So here we got the R Vox, and I love this plugin, 2 knobs, all I need, easy to understand, and yeah, that's what I love to use. It brings some very, very lovely low end back to the track. So I love the tonal qualities of this plugin. That's really cool here. And then we got the Mark EQ. I boosted a little bit 400 for more low-end presence. And then the airband, it's just fantastic. Brings wonders. Let's listen without. It's got this shizzle on the top, something to make the voice special. That's something, you know, people taught me like, oh, you have to buy this plugin. Oh, this plugin will help you with this. This plugin will help you with that. And it's very kind advices, but you will spend a lot of money in a very short time. And what I do when buying plugins, I get the demo and then I put all my equalizers together on a specific track. Let's say I feel like I need more top end on the vocals. And then I put the same settings, more or less. You can read in the manual how the vintage EQs are working, like the CQ from Sound Toys and so on. And then I compare which one is really helping me, why they're helping me, and if I can achieve the sound. This is why I love engineering, because you never stop learning, and I love to test plugins, to see how they work together, what is the difference between them, and to learn what I got in my toolbox instead of, you know, just paying again and getting another EQ that I will use once and then forget about it. So like this, you will memorize it and sometimes make automatic decisions. So your mixing process goes way faster when you hear a problem and you tested it already before. You're just automatically like, oh, this sounds like the Mark Airband can help me here. And this is how I decided to buy this plugin. That's why I got it, why it made its way into the toolbox. And then, again, some tone shaping with the J37. That's it for the vocals for Abdelali. We got again this trick to go into the chorus. And now I'm using just the isotope vinyl and the air spring reverb, mixed by 23%. This one gives a very nice space. I love it. And here I wanted to make the transition a little bit easier. So at first I go with the isotope vinyl, and then to the isotope vinyl, including spring reverb. So here he's moving also from right to the left. So there is some movement in this effect. Let's see if I do anything else here. If I cut the percussion or something. Yeah, I'm cutting the percussion here out. I bring the guitars louder. He have this cool guitar pattern. So I wanted more space for this. And then again, to build the tension, to give more energy into the chorus, the backing vocals kick in. And we have like a short lower point that is still exciting with the effects, and then more energy with the back vocals. The ascender kicks in, so more elements are coming step by step into the mix. We have again a distortion track for Abdelali, and we are routing him to all the other effects like before: harmonizer, vocal, long reverb, vox delay, ducking the vox delay with a compressor, slapback, vox parallel compression, and distortion track. Let's move on to the next one here, and this is the backing vocals. This was a funny process. So what we got here? Two takes mixed together. So at the beginning we had the record session. This is also why we recorded longer. And Abdelali had teeth problems. He couldn't sing. So we had to find a solution. And the guys said, okay, we will sing without him. And they started to sing. But then we traveled a lot. We had some other gigs. We came back and said, hey, let's invite Abdelali and add his vocals on top. It have to be with him. He has such a beautiful voice. So something special I'm doing here. De-essing directly. Tone shaping, not much to shape here. Cutting the low end. Giving some more presence on 3K. Compressing it. I wanted all of these vocal tracks to be more together, glued together. So I used the VLA3A. Some crunchiness with the radiator. And the Shep 73 again, the same trick. But this time I'm boosting some top end because I needed some more, and boosting 1.6K on the sides. System without. A little bit more crispy, a little bit more crunchy there. So let's listen together with the Vox. And here in the verse I wanted them to be in the background. Let's listen where it's a little bit louder and audible. Also the secret in my job as a traveling mixing engineer are editing skills. Many tracks I've written on the spot, or parts come on the spot, and sometimes you have to cut the right words together. I mean, I will send you the files, everything edited and so on, but sometimes you have just to get the words together, to get the rhythm really together. This is one of the big secrets of a good sound. This is what I learned here, is the right editing. So if you have a great assistant, somebody who is helping you, or if you can make your editing skills better, this is an incredible skill that you can learn. Sending them again to vocal parallel compression, vocal delay, vocal reverb long, also ducking the long reverb, and sending it to the real ADT and the harmonizer to fatten it up. Together we get this. Next one on the list are the guitars. And Mohamed Batal is just an incredible guitar player. Super creative. So what we get here at first are the rhythm guitars. Lovely 80s chorus sound, very dreamy, very bass heavy. I will send you the DI tracks as well so you can play around with it. But here it's the FX out and the guitar mic that I'm mixing in. I think it's again the same processing. This is my guitar chain that I'm using at the moment. REQ, a little bit more presence here. Brainworks console, a little bit tone shaping, cutting the top end. Checking for the chops, if there are some, compressing, distorting. And for the rhythm guitars, I had a compressor, but I'm not using it anymore. You can just delete it. No, it's automated. And it kicks in the chorus. To give a little bit more punch. So I'm compressing it minus 5 dB and then just pushing the volume so it fits better into the track. And on the guitar tracks, I'm just shaping a bit, cutting the low end, cutting 330 Hertz. Here probably copy paste, yep. Putting them left, right, and sending them to the parallel compression, guitar doubler, and instrument delay. The lead guitar is interesting. We had a lot of fun here. Check it out. I love this effect. We're building it in the track. At the beginning, it's without this effect. Then we just bring the 2 harmonies in, and then 2 harmonies with an additional octave here. And I'm pushing it to the left, the first one. A little bit tone shaping, cutting some top end here, some low end. It was still pretty muddy, as you could hear, but I like the sound actually. I don't wanted everything too precious, and I wanted to glue it a little bit more to the track. So, and I'm using again the same trick with the S1 that I used for the Karkaba as well. I just got curious. Always when I learn some new stuff, some new techniques, I try to implement them directly to see how they work. That worked pretty well here. Copy paste, stereo imager, asymmetry a little bit like this, putting it a little bit more to the right, making space for the other elements. And the octave one is directly in the middle. So it's really building. I love how these different rhythms are gluing together. This is what I love in music production, how they put the different rhythms there, and then, you know, you got the very complex track at the end, like so much is going on, and it's still clear, punchy, everything have its own space. This is like the magic in mixing. This is why I love mixing. It's like a puzzle, no? Come on, you know it. Anyway, for the guitar solo, Batal he's a rocker, man. He's playing incredible guitar solos. And what I'm doing here is I just got the DI out because the signal was pretty dirty here, the FX out and the guitar mic. So what I did, I used the 14 Kali suit to distort it. I made some editing here. So there are clearer punch notes, you know, tick, 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 tick. Again, volume automation, noise, broken guitars. It's what I love. It's okay. In general, don't be scared about noise. You know, sometimes it will just disappear in the track when all the other elements are there. And even if somebody can hear a little bit of crunchiness from the guitar, it's okay, man. I'm adding the isotope trash on the guitar. I wanted to spice it up, to make it crunchier and crunchier and crunchier. So some parallel compression here. A little bit tone shaping, a little bit more presence on 2.2K this time. and cutting more of the low end. I wanted the bass, the rhythm guitars here to fill out the low end. The rhythm guitars are from me this time. I have these riffs here as well. But just in the background. I don't want it to be like, man, here are my loud guitars. It was the focus for the band. And you can hear this effect. And what I'm doing, again, for the chops, so I got the gecko here. I'm watching sometimes what he's doing. VLA2A was really cool on this guitar to get a little bit more low end out. Check out different compressors. Check out what is working better. Sometimes I'm testing different compressors. Like here I checked the VLA3A, VLA2A, VLA FET, and to see what is working in this instance. And then I put the Echo Boy directly on it. The mix is almost dry with an 8 triple delay and a 16 note triple delay. Space echo, saturating more, giving more swing to the groove, cutting the low end, cutting the high end, a little bit feedback to bring it into the mix. So this is one of the effects that's there. And a long reverb. So this is like giving this 80s touch. It happened by accident, and then I loved it and just kept this effect. Absolutely love this effect here. Patal likes it as well. It's very surprising, especially for this style of music from this country. So I'm curious what you come up with when you mix this track. Get creative, man. Man and woman. Yeah, just get creative. No fear on testing stuff. It's a beautiful process. Mixing is a very creative and also technical aspect in music. What I love. I love when this merge. Next is the rebab. The rebab is the Moroccan violin. Here's a lot of automation, as you can see. Let's see how it sounds. And what you hear is the room sound as it is recorded. We got the stereo pair here. Just cutting a bit of low end and top end. I love to cut these elements in the reverb because you can control the space where this element is, how much you want it. If you put more top end, it comes closer. If you narrow this frequency, it goes more in the background. And for the processing, what I got, Brainworks console, I boosted some 700 hertz because I wanted more of this body. And I wanted more low end, so in a shelf, I cut it 5 dB on 200 hertz, compressing a bit, up to 3 dB, 2:1 ratio, fast release to give space for the transients to come through, and I think that's it. Then I'm compressing it heavily with the VLA3A. Okay, heavily it's like -2, -3 dB. Here we got automation on those elements for the drop. Again, the Echo Boy. And the RIA comp, it's triggered by Lala Tamar's voice because Tamar and the rebab are together in this track. So the guys maybe they knew there will be a vocal, but they took a lot of space and energy for the drop. And later I had to figure out how to make it work with Lala Tamar there to go a little bit lower, but still have these African vibes. We're sending it to the guitar's reverb parallel compression and put it even in a small room. And this reverb was close to the original one where we recorded. So this is why I chose it. Usually this is one of the mistakes when you have a reverbant record with a long reverb. If you put a small reverb, you can mess it up. So I'm always looking to enhance this reverb a little bit more and show something that is close to it. All right. This was fun. So that's the magic for the rebab. I didn't do much here. Like the parallel compression is the key for more volume and consistency in this instrument. I remember I was really struggling mixing it when I did it the first time, and the guys really helped me with the feedback, and parallel compression is the key here. So anything special in the verse? I love to pan them to the left and to the right. Like it's the panning is changing. Here it's at the left, here it's going to the right, left, right. And then in the drop, it goes from almost the center, slowly towards the end to 100% to the left. But we got this stereo delay going on here. And this one kicks in the drop. Bypass Echo Boy. Yeah, here's the bypass Echo Boy. So when the drop starts, it kicks in, and then the S1 stereo imager makes it wider here in the drop when Tamar's voice is coming in. Yeah, this is another amazing trick to put something like this even on your reverb sense, to make the reverb a little bit wider. Again, using these tools, check for phase if nothing is messing up here. But like this, we have a lot of space now. And then, of course, volume automation. You don't want to make the automation that it's like loud, 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 low. I love to sneak it in. And this has something to do with psychoacoustics. The first hit is always the loudest. And after this, our ears get used to it that, this element is loud enough. And then it's getting used to it that there is a presence of the instrument, while the instrument even goes lower here, even minus 7 dB, when Tamar really starts to sing. And then I had to find a way how to make a more calm drop here between all those elements kicking in together. So I just cut it in a nice spot like here. So you still hear it a little bit in the background, but it's not like in the way of Tamar's voice. So like this, it's coming back, and it's still a very surprising instrument and more pleasant instrument. It's not so crowded and playing all the time. You know, like a shredding solo, like that's never ending. Sometimes it's good to put a break there. Just and then some tapping or whatever. Yeah. And that's the part with Zegro band. And now we go into Tamar's voice. And I wanted to make it very special. She has a very beautiful voice. She's one of the best vocalists I ever met. We're really good friends. Traveled a lot. She traveled with us for 3 weeks together in the camping car. This was exciting. This was a crazy journey and a very musical journey. And she knows what she's doing. She's an incredible musician, incredible feedback. I learned a lot from her. So we had 3 takes. We went to her apartment in Izouran, where she's at the moment. I have some input effects because we recorded a lot of tracks together. So I got her custom settings already. Though it was the first time with the new Lewitt as well. Sounds 10 times better than before. Now I can really bring her incredible voice forward, very present. So I just got the compressor, optic compressor, a very slow one at the beginning, because she's singing very dynamic. With a ratio 3.5 to 1, fairly fast attack, 3 seconds, and a 200 millisecond release time. EQ, I think I'm not EQing anything here. But yeah, I just got the compressor. And some saturation, 22 on odd. And a little bit high pass filter on 84 Hertz. And then a little bit limiter that it's not peaking because she goes from a low voice to a very high voice. What I do is we train the track before, or we go through several takes, and then I'm automating. I have my hands here on not on the fader, but on the input volume knob, and I write the input while she's singing. So let's see what we got here. She said I can get creative, so I did. At first without effects. Let's turn this all off. So octave down. You hear a little bit reverb from her house. I really like this. Now with effects, with processing. We got the CLA Epic here, so it takes a lot of DSP. This I put just at the end to put more reverb even. At first tone shaping, a little bit more top end, cutting some low end here. Here was a little build up. Then again, same process, Brainworks console, boosting a bit of top end, cutting a bit of top end. Sometimes it's too much top end. It's not what I want. I don't want it too spicy, too crunchy there. So I just backed it off a bit. A little bit more presence on 3.6K, almost 4 dB on 1K. She needs the presence. So this is what I did here. And then cutting 90 Hertz. Cutting by 320, a little bit more mud up, boosting some 2.7 on 2.6 kilohertz, and then again to a compressor. The Puig child did a very good job here. Just make it a little bit crunchy. It's just for the tonal characteristic. I think here it's even doing something. And then at the end, the R-Vox, just to bring a little bit more low end back. And the CLA Epic, I think I'm automating it here. The mix knob is automated. So I'm just bringing in like 50% delay, 50% mix. This is like a delay and reverb plugin all in one. So the reverb can be routed to the delay or vice versa. It's a very handy plugin. At first I love the sound, I love the concept. It's interesting for engineers. I love the technical stuff. You know, I love easy stuff for mixing, but sometimes I just love to get into the manuals and dig into it and check how those plugins work. Yeah, loving it. I made my own vocal composition, but I give you, for the stems, I will give you the only stems here, the stems as they are. Every track separate. So you can play around with it. And for the mixing, you get every take as it was recorded and you can make your own composition. What do you think about it? I wanted something special here, so I sent the vocals to a crystallizer. And what the crystallizer is doing is it's reversing random parts of the vocals and do some magic to it. Some crazy stuff. You can choose the splice. You can even pitch it up. I have a 50-50 mix here. You can put the delay on, I put it on 64th notes. And I wanted to move it. I like to move it. So I used the Daraa motion, made it wider. And this plugin will move the audio in a 3D field. So it's a very special effect. Let's have a listen here. It's just in this part. I wanted to make it a little bit more mystical, you know, that the listener is getting catched, like something hooked, like what's going on there? What I just see her singing, but something is going on. And maybe I always try to implement some elements that the listener is going back and check the record, like, man, what is going on there? What is going on? And there is some kind of delay, and there is some distortion and some megaphone effect or whatever. This is something that catched me since I'm a child. You know, like, whoa, what are they doing here? What are the Chili Peppers are doing here with this vocal? What are these guys doing? What is Pantera doing with this guitar, with the whammy bar, whatever? This is stuff that catched me my whole life, and I tried to implement it as well. Here we have something that is called moving effects. So let's see what I did here. The air diffuser delay. So I cut it some more low end here. Inaudible. But let's make it louder. Yeah, I like it. Just to emphasize this part a little bit. I think the talk box I didn't use. Yeah, it wasn't needed anymore. Let's delete this one, it's not needed. And then I put the octaver here. I'm just cutting some more low end and go into the little altar boy and go one octave lower and put the drive a little bit up. This is a very interesting effect. You think I'm routing the main vocals here? Yeah. I love this part. It's incredible. Then I'm sending it again to... I send it to the percussion folder to duck the percussion with the compressor there. I send it to the reverb folder. And by the way, I can show you quickly how it works. So I'm sending the vocals, Lala vocals, and in Reaper you can choose on which audio track it is. If it's on the same one, 1 and 2, it will play the audio as well. So I will hear the vocals in the reverb folder. But that's not what I want. I just wanted the triggers, so I send it to audio track 3 and 4. And then I go pre-fader, post effects. Then, for me the easiest to use is the RIA comp. I go the attack on 10 milliseconds and 80 milliseconds release. 2:1 ratio, knee size I can choose, I just keep it as it is. And then, let's see how it's compressing. You see it's around 2 to 3 dB of gain reduction. And when the release is too fast, you will hear it pump. And this will not sound good in your track. But like this, it's like with the release time longer, it's ducking it smoothly and stays a little bit on the level. And when the vocal stops, it goes slightly up, like slowly up again, like very natural sounding. You don't want it to pump like... This is one tip for doing something like that. Then we have a lot of automation here still. The mix with the Echo Boy in the break with the reverb. I just wanted more of this, ping pong delay from the reverb here to fill the space, but not take over the space. Then you can see that the reverb is going on the lowest in the volume. So it's really in the background. And then slightly coming back up until the end. The last hits. With Tamar, we have a lot of... I don't wanted the CLA delay at the end. I don't wanted it audible, so I turned it down in the loudest part. But I turned up the long reverb, so you can hear this beautiful reverb tail at the end. And I don't wanted the delay either, so the delay is going down. And the volume goes a little bit more up. Like in this last part, I'm putting the dynamics in the vocals manually. Usually, I go even crazier into vocal production. And in general, in automation. But I spent a lot of time on this track and just wanted to finish it after a while, you know? This is also important. You can always do something else here, something else there, something here, something there, something there. And I checked, I got the right balance, and I was happy. I was just happy with it. And I thought, man, will it change now when I put this part up? Maybe yes, maybe no. It's a decision that you can make for your own. Let's go to the bass here. Let's just check what I'm doing. And I'm using the SSL comp. The SSL comp. Let's go back to Daraa Tribes. One thing that I would change now. I could hear after the song was released, of course. Zegro band, they lack a little bit power. So what I would do now is L2, stereo volume, push it down a bit, and just put this part 1 dB louder. So that they should be on the same level as Daraa Tribes now. I think that was missing. I will make a remaster also and take this mix for the Spotify version. Now it's on YouTube, I can't change the audio anymore. It's fine, it's good, just move on. Working already on the next tracks, no regrets, just learning from your mistakes, that's the most important. And kindly, Mao Appelbaum, he offered me, he's just checking my master. So from my side, Mao, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I know how much time it is, and I'm doing the same for other people. And I really appreciate it. Everybody who gave me feedback on the track, big shout out to you. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you care, and I care as well. I'm working also on it to implement your ideas here, especially from Jerry Hammock. Thank you so much for the tip with the solo, to put some more saturation there, to fill it more out. So this will be all in the final version for Spotify. Will be a little bit louder than on the YouTube version. I love the SPL Iron. I just bought it for a mastering job that I had last time with Mehdi Nassouli and Karim Ziad and Omri Moore. What a crazy trio. And they needed a little bit more piano. And there was no chance to fix it in the mix. So this plugin really helped me on the piano solos. I just cut this part, edit this plugin, boost it a little bit. A compressor can really help you with tone shaping, to push some transients aside and make space for everything. Anyway, I love also the tonal quality here. It's just the standard settings, but I think I'm pushing the input a little bit more, 2 dB, but I don't adjust the output, so I'm just using it for the tonal quality. A2, just to tackling those peaks, and then the Frontier by D16 Group. Love their plugins, they have incredible stuff, and the threshold is by 0.7 dB, minus 0.7 dB. There is a lot of headroom for mastering, this is very important. And then as I showed at the beginning, I always double check with Abbey Road Studio 3, my favorite plugin that saved my butt. To start with this journey, because when we started the journey, I was like, okay, we got the car, we got all this stuff, but how do I put the speakers in my car? With, you know, it's we have a very tight space. So, and then 1 week later, before we started our journey, Waves released the Abbey Road Studio 3, and I absolutely love it. I really can trust this plugin. Got used to it. Let's have a listen.
لمحبة نطفو بالغابة اللعبوا ورقصوا رقصات جمعتنا الصينية
And when it sounds good here,
والبراد.
then it sounds good on speakers. I really tested it a lot of times, and I love it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. If you have any suggestions, any questions, leave a comment below. I'm more than happy to answer you and find the solutions. Get creative with it. I would love to hear what you are doing. Yeah, it's a very special song. It's a very tricky song to mix. I believe it can help you in getting a better mixing engineer, to find your own techniques, how to match it, to get creative with the production side as well. I'm wondering how you will build this power in the track, how to make the transition from the verse to the chorus. For everybody who will join the remix contest, I'm more than happy to hear the craziest versions available on this planet. Make it a deep house or acid mix, make it a club mix, make it a heavy metal mix, make it a thrash metal mix, man. I want to hear some thrash metal. I love this. I love Slayer. I grew up with this stuff. Make it a singer-songwriter mix. Maybe put some acoustic guitars there. Don't make it rocky at all. Man, do whatever you want. Make a hip-hop track, man. I want some hip-hop tracks here. What else? Add your own vocals. Make it AC/DC. Add your own instruments. Get creative with the mixing files and the stems for remixing. Maybe you can mix it up and make something completely new. Change the structure. Do whatever you want. Get creative. It's the best time to learn. These tracks are for free available. You can win some really good goodies. Thank you to all the partners. Thank you to Louis. Thank you to Kali Audio. Thank you to Audient. Thank you, Warren. Thank you everybody who made ProMix Academy courses. ProMix Academy is one of the best sources to learn and get better in mixing. Thank you to the Produce Like a Pro Academy. I love you guys. I love you all. You are all incredible. The Feedback Fridays are the best thing that ever happened to me. This is how I could learn mixing and learn how to get feedback, how to give feedback. And there is also an exclusive course that I did only for you guys. It's good vibes. It's just an incredible community, very helpful. Wonderful people, wonderful people. I always love to be in the chat there, chat with you guys, with all the Chris's that are there. Yeah, anyway, take it easy, surprise me, and see you soon.
So I hope you enjoyed that. Please don't forget to download the Multitracks down below. And you can also support Ady's journey by buying his courses. He has a lot of courses and there's a special deal at the moment. And also hit that link down below to get Ady's courses at a heavy discount. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios, adio, tschüss, goodbye.